Justice now.
Obstruction
Justice
to
now.
justice. Obstruction to justice. Obstruction to justice. Justice now. Well, welcome to another broadcast of Obstruction to Justice. I'm Ann Moals, and I'm just glad that you just decided to click and tune in. You know, it's been a good day, wonderful weather coming in finally. Yeah, so we're hanging in there when it comes to the weather here in the greater Kansas City, Missouri area. And we're just going to just chime in and get in there. Now, you know the drill. You can definitely take an opportunity to chat, put something in the comments for, how you feel about a subject and everything. There's a lot going on, and this is an opportunity for you to share what it is that you think about what's going on. And, I do a little research and share my thoughts. uh, and things. So yeah, I always do kind of make sure that things are, I get an opportunity to say what it is that I want to say, and I do have something to say today. I'm not sure about what our Wi-Fi is doing. Looks like everything is good to go and it's kosher, but uh, maybe the application had an issue. But you're still here. I'm still here. We're going to keep moving. All right, so let me see whether or not I can do some presentation here. Do some presentation about what we're going to share today. All right, let's see. Let's take a look here and let's look at this. Now, today, I'm going to talk a little bit about. We're going to see what one of the Missouri, what are our U.S. Missouri senators doing? So we got something we're going to take a look and see what he's talking about and everything. Now, we kind of switch back and forth to talk about, we have two. So we have the Josh Hawley guy and we have the Eric Schmitt guy. So we're going to see what Eric Schmitt is talking about today. Now, we do have the results from last week's election. Of course, you guys are already familiar with probably if you're in the greater Kansas City area, how that vote went. So, we're going to talk about that marijuana question one. And there's a big question and issue about what to do with transgender support in schools. That's a big one, and those that say that they are wanting to be the voice and make decisions about the different things that go on in the schools. The Lee Summit, Missouri School Board election final. I think that was something that was interesting, and because they had a lot of conversation about the candidates, had conversations about what they believe was going on. And then we're going to talk about who finally did win that position at the Lee Summit, Missouri School Board election, the director position there. And then I want to show you something about the top three chatbot alternatives to ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT, if you haven't had a chance to check it out and everything, that's kind of the big question about whether that artificial intelligence, it's a language application. Um, but, there's always a big question about whether or not AI is going to just take over, right? So we're going to show you a little bit about the top three chatbot art alternatives. ChatGPT, OpenAI, they don't consider themselves as a chatbot, but we're just going to throw it all in there and take a look and see what they're talking about. Okay, so let's look. Uh, hmm, what is what's going on with the Democratic Senator for Missouri, Eric Schmitt. What is he doing? So we're going to talk about this guy today. And let's go out here. I did see something on his website that I thought was kind of interesting. So let's see whether or not we can go out here and show. Let's see. Now, I'm going to show this first. Now, this is his website. This is Eric Schmitt, his website. He has a pretty good website, the senate.gov, schmitt.senate.gov. And he keeps it, pretty up to date and everything, keeps it current, stays pretty active when it comes to social media. Nothing really as far as overkill or anything. But here we do see where Senator Schmitt questions Biden military officials on military recruitment, DEI initiative. So this was an interview that he was given the opportunity to share to the Senate. And today it says here on the website that today Senator Schmitt questioned Biden military officials from the Army, Navy, and Air Force about lagging recruitment, specifically about funding for and deployment of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in training. So, this is the questions that he had. So I want to go out here and show we're going to just look a little bit. It's not a big, long interview session, but I think it's kind of interesting to see. So let's go out here and take a look at Schmitt talking with the military, talking with the military out here on his YouTube channel. Now it says Senator Eric Schmitt. Now, doesn't look like he's got a lot of subscribers out here. He's got some views out here. I'm going to stop sharing and then go redo that. Make sure I got the audio part of this. That's always a headache. Yeah, well, it gave me that to share the audio. So we're going to check it out.
Senator Schmitt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I suppose what you're hearing today is a voice of frustration that our military, the most honored and respected military in the world, certainly among the American people, that this administration is hell-bent on politicizing that the offspring of identity politics, which is incredibly divisive, has now made its way through DEI trainings in these branches. And I think you're hearing that from a number of senators, which is reflective of what's happening across the country, what we hear from our citizens. It is naive to believe that this is not divisive among recruits or people in the military. We have heard from members of the military who've said that they resent being subjected to this totem pole of grievances, this oppressor versus oppressed. The military has been a shining example of what a meritocracy can mean. People from the humblest beginnings can rise to the highest ranks, do heroic things. Parades can be thrown, in New York City for these heroes. And that this flippant desire to inject politics now is dividing this committee, it's dividing this country, it's completely unnecessary. The United States of America is an idea, the American idea that, everybody is born with certain rights and they can pursue their dreams, and we believe in equality of opportunity. This sort of obsession with this equity agenda that you all are defending here today with just sort of a word salad is divisive. And the military literally has stood as this most respected institution where people can achieve great things and protect this country. And here we are in a committee hearing when China is militarizing islands. They mean business. And we're having to spend time to talk about DOD's $114 million budget request for diversity, equity, inclusion training. This stuff is nuts. I want to ask each of you, have you heard, is there any intelligence that you've heard that communist China is somehow intimidated or deterred by our DEI initiatives? I'll take that as a collective no. And so our focus here is maddening, I think, to a lot of members, as you've heard. And I want to ask a couple of specific questions. Ms. Jones, specifically, the DOD has put out an equity action plan issued a few weeks ago that said the department is implementing a range of initiatives to ensure equity for minority service members at critical career touchpoints that include recruiting and accessions, progression, and promotion at the senior leader level, ensuring equity. What does that mean? What does ensuring equity mean?
Senator, I don't know that it's possible to ensure equity, but as an example, when we look at promotion boards, all of that information on demographics is hidden. But afterwards, we look to see, are there any trends that we think are challenging? Are there any groups that we feel like maybe we need to relook how we're approaching training, or are there barriers? For example, the barriers that we had with women who were choosing to leave our service because of some of the policies that we had. So that's what we're focusing on.
But how do you, what are you measuring? Right? Because I think we all still believe, I hope, in equality of opportunity. Ensuring equity or outcomes, the government really shouldn't be in the business of that. So I don't know exactly what that means or how you're measuring quote unquote success.
Senator, our retention is a key focus of that. And again, we're not looking at any quotas. It's based on meritocracy, but we are looking for where there are barriers to serve that are impacting certain parts of our population in different ways. Okay.
Well, I'm running out of time, and I want to ask this to anybody who's willing to answer this. Undersecretary Cisneros testified to our personnel subcommittee last week that DOD continues to take steps to improve and increase DEI, and the department is working to further understand root causes in the area where we lack diversity and develop initiatives that have measurable outcome matrix, maintain appropriate data to inform and target efforts, ensure environments are inclusive for all who serve, and foster strong governance structure oversee these efforts. Look, I don't think you're going to find anybody in here and across this country who doesn't believe people should be treated with respect, with dignity, no matter who you are. And we want the best defending this great country, but I just am very concerned. I don't know what develop initiatives that have measurable outcome metrics based on equity means. And by chasing this, it's driving a wedge in the military, and it's completely unnecessary. And by the way, we're spending, like I said, $114 million on that just in this one department, not government-wide, but with DOD. Can anybody tell me what the metrics are for equity? Because it's an outcome-based measure, right? Like, what is it that we're measuring?
Sir, for the Navy and Marine Corps, the ultimate measure of how we are doing is our ability to deter and fight and win wars. And in close consultation with both service leadership of the Navy and Marine Corps, we have heard that developing diverse, capable teams is essential to developing warfighting capability. The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps testified about 2 weeks ago at the House Armed Services Committee. Pretty much the first thing that he said out of his mouth is that the Marine Corps is ready to fight tonight. Well,
real quickly, because this is all I've got time for. Since you're speaking, obviously, here on the capacity with the Navy, Anderson Air Force Base has a memo that's been uncovered that you can't refer to someone as him or her, yet they have gender identity trainings. How does that? And by the way, the justification for that is to add to, lethality. How does that help us be a better fighting force by not referring to a man as him or her in a memo? Like, how does that help us? And I'm happy to provide, if you're not familiar with the document that was uncovered last summer. How does that help us? How does that make us more lethal fighting force?
Sir, I can say every day in the Pentagon, there's yes, sir, no, ma'am, and so forth. So I'll have to take a look at.
Well, we'll follow up. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay, that's a big question. I think that people don't get it.
In just a day.
That question, when it comes to making a signature, making sure that you put him or her, him, his, her, or her, she. Here's the thing. Those signatures that if you've looked at some of the titling after a person's name, say, in some of the memos, the emails, and this is what they're saying as far as diversity training is concerned. They need to be aware because they have included this transgender and um, this transgender type or this gender identity that is a requirement in order to respect the particular gender and sexuality of that person, whether they identify as male, whether they identify as female, whether they are non-binary, meaning they don't really identify as male or female. And this is the challenge that has gotten into the military. It's and then with that, because of the requirement to respect, and they really pump this transgender and gender identity agenda. Not to say that it's not a big deal, but really there, and this is, to me, in my opinion, who you love, who you identify as, when it comes to sexuality, that's really your option. I mean, if you're female and you look female to me, our culture is going to respect you by saying, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And this is what the gentleman was responding to, because he wasn't educated on the different identities that people are saying that they are, even though they obviously look male or female. So nowadays we can't go on the looks. They're saying that we have to go on how they identify themselves, what they say they are, which to me is super challenging. And yes, it's costing money. And this is when it comes to recruitment, and this was the big deal when it comes to recruiting in the military. There's a challenge there. You are going into the military to fight for your country, or to be ready to fight for your country in whatever branch that you're in. But now you're being bombarded or required to study and understand how people want to be referred to as when it comes to their sexuality. It's a lot. It's a lot. So recruitment for the military has gone down. Now, they didn't say that it went down for the Marines, but according to what he was writing, it said that recruitment was going down for the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. So, okay, I think there's a challenge even within the military as far as getting people to sign up. Just like you're in the private sector, you're looking at the challenge of getting people to be able to qualify people for work. So jobs and find qualified candidates for positions, that's a challenge. Well, here's a challenge when it comes to the military is finding it challenging. And yes, there's a lot going on around the world when it comes to wars and those that are threatening war and those that were our allies and now maybe not so much. And what is our defense looking like? Well, we're haggling over whether or not a person is male or female and how they need to be referred to as. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I I have to give a thumb up and commend Senator Eric Schmitt for even trying to say something about it. The monetary part of it, I think, is, you're going to throw a lot of money at it, but you also have the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, you also have a large military too. So, there are dollars that you do have to throw into training. Now, are those dollars accountable? I would love for some of those dollars to come my way as far as training. That would be a tough one to develop. How would you train people on that identity and equity thing when it comes to identity, gender identity? And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Woo! All right. So Eric Schmitt he's starting out pretty good. That was a few weeks ago when he did that interview with those heads of those departments in the military. All right. So let's take a look here at what else we're going to work on here. So we talked about Eric Schmitt. Now, this question 1, the marijuana 3% sales tax final vote, it won a resounding yes. Now, I followed it through the Jackson County, Missouri ballot. So Jackson County, Missouri put the question 1 on the ballot, the voting ballot, to say, okay, shall we increase a 3% sales tax on marijuana sales for non-medicinal purposes? So that's recreational marijuana sales. Can we do that? And there was a resounding yes. Now, from what I understood and understand, is that there are cities that also requested a 3% sales tax too. So it wasn't just through the county, but the cities increased the sales tax by 3%, voted yes resoundingly on every vote within the city that put that question on the ballot. So they were saying, okay, you couldn't raise it 3% if the cities approved it, but you couldn't raise it 3% through the county because the city approved it. Well, they were saying last week that, okay, both the county and the city can get their 3% sales tax. And that's, if you're going to recreationally zone out, I don't know, tax it. That's what it was approved for. To me, in my opinion, yeah, well, tax it, and it's not going to bother me any because I don't have to worry about it. But for those recreationally, I mean, it's not like it's food. I'm complaining about the food tax. Yeah, they're wanting to increase food taxes. And that to me is way more important than recreational. We're looking at, okay, I want to be able to eat well, eat healthy. So what do? These taxes. All right. So it came over as a yes, that increasing question 1, marijuana 3% sales tax. That final vote was yes. Okay. Well, here we go with the transgender support in schools. That's a big question, guys. There's just no way that I can't even think about what or how I would have handled being in school where the norm was to accept someone who was born a male, but then decided they felt like they were female. So they had their organs transition to female. And, during that time of puberty, oh my goodness, this is really a challenging time, isn't it? So in school, I mean, we may have, as I think about it, there was maybe a person or two that was unusual. And as far as sexuality is concerned, at that age, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think our children are being exposed to way too much, way too soon. And even then, when I was in school, they were being exposed way too much, way too soon, but not so many, not so much. It wasn't a normal thing to see maybe more than one person in the whole school that may have had an idea that they were not the sex that they were born as. Um, and as far as relational or whatever, they're talking about, and they're saying that kids have the right to transition before puberty. So, what was I thinking about before puberty? My grades. I was thinking about math. I was thinking about reading. I was thinking about those things that kids think about. I wasn't even interested or even exposed to a sexuality. That light or that dragon didn't even get touched, or the innocence of children. They were more protected, not as much now. To me it was more protected. You had an opportunity to be a child, right? So here we go, the transgender support in schools. Now, what I want to share with this, I want to take a look at, there was an article last week, that an actual interview, really, when it came to talking with those who were in, it may have been the week before, but talking with those who were in the race for working on the school board within the school district. So we had big school district race last week's vote. Well, here there was an interview given by one of the people that was actually working to and a candidate for the school district, the school board. Now, this article, it came out of the Kansas City Star, and from the Kansas City Star, it says furries. Okay, we'll explain what furries are. Book bans, transgender rights, take over Lee Summit School Board election. Now, here's a nice, photo collage of those that ran for the school board last week. But what are furries? Yeah, what are furries? Furries, from what I understand, is where a person thinks that they're not male, they're not female, they're actually an animal. Okay, so they're a cat or a dog or whatever. I don't know, but that's what a furry is. And here, what they're saying is a person should be able to identify as who they think they are. So there's no redirection, to me, the psychology of a human being. If you're a human being and something happened and you think that you're an animal, you're a furry, you have a tail, or I don't know. Why in the world would you think that that's normal? And then support it, and then try to educate it, educate that mind, educate that person to even think that that's normal. So from what I understand now, I'm getting this from a young person too that is sharing. They don't actually go to the school, okay? They're not in that school district, but they're saying that their friends who do live in that school district, okay, of course, they associate with other school districts that are close by, other students that go to other school districts that are close by. And they say that, oh my goodness, there are people that identify as being furries. And, even with that, how do you accommodate a person who thinks that they're an animal, they're a cat? Well, cats use litter boxes. Yes, this is going really strange, isn't it? So it has blossomed into something super crazy when we're talking about transgender. Well, they're also including the issue of whether or not a human being thinks that they're an animal at a young age. So here, uh, here with the school board election and Lee Summit, there were hot campaign topics that the candidates really ran on and to deal with. They wanted to say here, and I'm just going to read a paragraph out of here, out of this article by the Kansas City Star that was published April 3rd, 2023. And it says 7 candidates are running for 3 seats on the school board on April 4th. 3 of them are campaigning on hot topic conservative issues such as removing library books they say qualify as pornography. I'm going to stop right there. Does that have to be a conservative issue? If it's qualifying as pornography, where is that book? I don't want to be in the 4th grade, happy, working on math, working on reading, working on cutout dolls or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to go pick a book off the shelf thinking that it looks interesting. And I open it up and it turns out to have nudity in it. That's going to be offensive to me. What library are they removing or wanting to remove them from? So the qualifying as pornography, restricting transgender students access to teams, sports teams, and bathrooms, and expanding school choice. Now, the issue of pornography, that's a sexual thing. It's a darn shame that our children aren't protected. Their innocence is not protected enough to where they can enjoy the different phases of growing up as a healthy human being. To be exposed to something like pornography so young, you wonder why there's so much trouble and issues later on, and why people want to turn to recreational drugs just to get it out of their mind about what they saw as a 4th grader, whatever, right? So, restricting transgender students' access to sports teams. Okay. Now, I'm going to agree with that. I agree that it needs to be restricted. I have students, grandchildren coming up, they're students, and you also learn to be competitive. You also learn to be competitive with the gender that you are. So females, I'm going to learn to be competitive. I'm going to learn softball or volleyball, or I'm going to learn uh, field hockey or something like that. Okay. So, but I'm going to play with other females because the strength of those females, of course, we can go into what's in the food now, can't we? Right? The steroids or whatever, and testosterone making drugs that they pump the food up with. Okay. We can go into that. But on just the normal level of being a female, I don't want my grandchildren to go up against someone who's not their gender. My grandsons, that they're not going to identify anything other than male. We're going to say that right now. I'm going to claim it. Okay. I'm a believer. I'm claiming it in Jesus' name. I'm going to hold on to that. But in that, the strength of another boy would be something that I believe would be beneficial to him. So mano to mano, you'll get a chance to understand and be able to see the strength and build your strength and appreciate it. They'll build their strength and appreciate it. Well, the same thing with females. Why would I want a transgender biological male who was born a man, a boy, to grow up with all of the muscles and things? I don't care what you give them as far as hormone therapy and all that to soften them down or whatever. There are certain things about that chromosome that's just going to be right. And here we go. They get to compete. And are they really getting to compete against someone that is they're equal, you know. Flesh is not just flesh. And they think that it is. It's not. It's different. He made us man, and I'm saying God, yes, I'm a believer. God made man and woman, male and female. Okay? And same thing with the sports teams. Okay, they have to go to the bathrooms or the restrooms. All right. Well, do I want someone, and here's the thing. They think that they are uh the opposite sex. It's not like it's proven. It's not like, okay, they can't change their mind, right? So, okay, so they may think a young person, a child may think that they're female even though they're in the male body. Well, they can't change, they can change their mind. It's not like it's one and done. Even with some of the surgeries, if before the surgery, my thing is that there's a mindset here. If you're going to allow for the the if you're going to allow for the I don't even know what words to use. This is how wild it is. You're going to allow for transgender people who they to me, they need their privacy, and they need their privacy. So what does that mean? That means build a separate build a separate facility. To me, allow for them to have a separate facility. Yeah. Yeah. So have a separate facility. Do what it is that you need to do to accommodate if you're making the laws this way. And if it how is it that all of a sudden now, or even in the past 40 years, the question of whether you're male or female is now being addressed and accepted and included? And oh my goodness, it wasn't this issue before? Wasn't there an issue like this before? Why now? That's a good question. Why now? Why in these days and times? You know? Okay. So that article is an interesting article to me because this is what the school board people on the school board, this is what they ran on, addressing these hard issues, of course, and expanding school choice. Okay. Which go ahead and, whatever school choice, it's about a money thing at that point. What schools get state funding, that's what that is at that point. So that article out there is pretty interesting. But what we can look at now, what I would like to show now, I want to show where I want to show the winner of the Lee Summit, Missouri R7 school district election, the director position seat that she won. So let me go ahead and show that. Okay. Yeah. So Dr. Camille Johnson, she won that seat in the Lee Summit R7 school district. She won that seat. So she's head of this board, the school district that is going to have to answer and account for those hard questions. Now, I want to say this. It's a lot going on. And when things were simpler and pretty much cut and dry, when life was a little simpler, at least different, not as outrageous and as strange now. The issues that were dealt with, of course, we dealt with racism here in this country. That was a hard one to deal with, but that's pretty cut and dry. Uh, we prove these truths to be self-evident, right? That all men are created equal. We're all equal. So that was just a matter of struggle that was inevitable based on the school, based on the color of your skin. So what school you were going to, what facility you were going to, then it became an economic thing. And that's still a big struggle. Redlining and different codes for school districts and who's going to get funding in whatever areas in your country, in your city, your county or whatever. That's why you elect people that have the interests within your area so that you have a voice. Well, this here is totally different. This is a just a big different animal in itself because it's not just about race. And this was one of the things that I wanted to share too, and the fact that why would you include it being a race issue when it comes to transgender or sexuality issue? It's not. These are two different issues. Gender issue is when it comes to what we're dealing with is totally different. As an African American or whatever nationality of culture uh, that you are in this country, it's still that you're a human and that you are an American. Okay. Not the rest doesn't come into play. So when they have these different campaigns, they should have kept them separate because now the idea of, race issue, which we can go into that and talk about that later, whether or not the word term race is acceptable. But the race issue in itself, that's a struggle that to me will always be ongoing in this country because of how the country was founded and built on slavery to the oppression of people and a particular people, so that's always going to be an issue. Now here, what's the struggle when it comes to sexuality? That becomes to me a personal private thing, a choice to say, okay, well, that person is attracted to someone who's of the same sex as them or whatever. That's on something totally different. And even with that, there were civil rights that were allotted to people who were, civil unions, civil benefits that were given to people who identified as the opposite sex or whatever, transgender, LGBTQ, whatever the acronym is. But that wasn't enough, right? Well, but that's a struggle that they need to deal with when it comes to, they need to deal with it separately. When it comes to gender, that's something that is their fight. But when it comes to race and ethnicity, people who are of a skin color hue, now that's someone that's still a human being, but to be oppressed because of their skin color, to be oppressed because of the hue of the color of their skin. I mean, there it is. Or even really it's about the socioeconomic oppression so that those who have more money and are in control can stay that way with the money and stay in control. Okay. So she's got something big that she's going to be dealing with here. Something big, and we're going to tip our hats to Dr. Camille Johnson, and we're going to say good things, give good thoughts as she does her job, and hope and give her best blessings to do her job. Let's go ahead here. Now, here's a big question. I didn't actually pull this one up, but I just was kind of curious. This site here, where it was sharing, KCTV5 is giving the announcement of how the public schools are going to teach virtually during the NFL draft. So I don't know how I think about that. I don't know. It is what it is. you have to keep kids safe as you build these different venues and make make the routes secure and safe because I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand the logic about why children have to stay home and log in virtually. I don't understand that one. If someone else does understand it or has an opinion on that, feel free to chime in on it. But I have no clue as far as why they have to have the Kansas City public schools to go online and learn virtually during the NFL draft. From what I understand, the the stage and everything is going to be built down there at the Union Station. Let's see, how many public schools are down there at the Union Station? As far as traffic is concerned, okay, well, the traffic union, anyway, there's no rhyme or reason. I have no idea why you would have children stay home, which we understand the challenge of educating virtually anyway. So these students in the Kansas City Public School District are going to be inconvenienced. The parents are going to be inconvenienced, and they're going to have to stay home to learn. I'm not happy about it. I don't know why. That might be something, a reason to look into even the more, but no one is sharing it as far as why that's happening. NFL draft. Well, we did win the Super Bowl, okay. And so we're going to get that many visitors from out of town to where it's going to disrupt the schools. Well, there's some close by schools too. Independence isn't that far from where some of the Kansas City, Missouri public schools are. They're not shutting down. And if you're headed out that way, there's accommodations out there, even where Arrowhead is. I just think I don't know, just hoopla, just a waste of time, just a way to get the hype out and do something big. We're gonna shut the schools down, make them go home and study. This is how big this event is going to be. Shame on the marketing people. Shame on them. Shame on you for doing that. That's how I feel about it. Okay. Well, as promised, as promised, we're going to check out this. We're going to check out our technology section here today. We're going to look at it. Now, there's three top chatbot alternatives to ChatGPT. OpenAI's OpenAI ChatGPT. Okay. Now, I want to say that Microsoft Bing. How many use Bing? Microsoft Bing to me it's here, and it's a rival. It's there. I mean, if you use Bing and the way that I'm going to share with you how things are now, we use it through Microsoft Edge. Now, it used to be the application that we use is Chrome, right? So that web search or web server app, web app was Chrome. That's it, Google Chrome. Well, before it was Internet Explorer. And a lot of the apps were built around the support that Internet Explorer offered. Well, here comes Chrome. And Chrome just hit the ground running, and the search engines and everything through Google just made it happen. Well, Edge, Microsoft Edge, we didn't really see much reason to use it. Edge because Chrome was giving us everything that we needed. Well, here we go. Microsoft has its Edge has Bing that is supported in it, and it's really, really, really cool. Now I'm just going to read here. Google isn't the only one itching to get into the AI market. Microsoft, which recently planned to invest $10 billion in OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, has now revealed its upgraded Bing AI search engine. The revamped search engine is powered by an upgraded model of ChatGPT, which the company initially called the new Prometheus model, but was later confirmed to be GPT-4. So that's what they call it, GPT-4. Microsoft claims that the new model was faster and more accurate than ever before. So this company, OpenAI, and now I said that Microsoft bought them. Okay, I believe I said that last week. Well, here's the thing: it planned to invest for $10 billion. What do you think you're going to do if someone invests in your company, $10 billion in your company? You're going to do whatever they want you to do, right? Pretty much you're going to give them whatever they want. Well, 10 billion sounds like nothing when we think about the trillions of dollars nowadays. Oh boy, especially the debt. Okay, well, let's not get into that, but 10 billion is pretty significant. And they may not have bought them, but they are planning to invest 10 billion. And if they already have the Chat GPT-4 working with the Bing, my guess is that a lot of that transition has already happened. Okay, that financial transition has already happened. Now let me just go ahead. I'm going to see if I can grab this, and we're going to check out Bing just a little bit. Okay. Let's see. That's the Chrome. I don't know if I can grab that. I have it ready. Now let me just open it up, and then we ought to be able to get it. Oh, okay. So, what do you think that Edge has a great host for an AI solution? I should be able to see it now. So let's check it out. I'm going to pin this and let's go grab it. Do you think you're going to put your Google Chrome down completely? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to completely put it down, but I think I'm going to use it more. I do. I got pretty excited because I don't have to worry about going to ChatGPT, the actual site, and logging in and getting an API, whatever, opening it up. I don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and check it out. This is, oh, my logo is kind of in the way. Oh my goodness. Let's see if I can get rid of that branding banner there. I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can get rid of my logo. Yeah, well, let me just use this logo for right now, where you can actually see the Bing, the B within the bubble. Yeah, let me just use that one for now, where I can see you get it, because I don't have a transparent one. That'll give me an opportunity to put a transparent logo up there. We are hosted by Union Rog Hill Films, by the way, these broadcasts through Obstruction to Justice. Okay, so all I did was I opened Edge. That's it. Microsoft Edge. And in the upper right corner, all you have to do is click on this icon that looks like a small letter B in a bubble, like a call out bubble. So I click that, and now it's open. Now, I can do one of three things here, and it's super. I can chat, and let's do that. So I can chat and ask it a question. So let's ask it, what is a great apple pie recipe? Okay. And it's going to go out there and it's going to look for a response. So it's searching for great apple pie recipe. It's searching for best apple pie recipe. And there you go. In and outlined response. It is giving me the instructions here in the chat about what to do to make a great apple pie. It says, here is a recipe for apple pie from Taste of Home that has great reviews. All right. So it also even gives you the links there of the two places that it referenced, But here, the ingredients, it's all outlined. So if I wanted to actually copy and paste this into somewhere, a Word document, I don't have to worry about formatting it or anything. Just copy and paste it. Here are the instructions. Okay. So there you go. Now, here at the end of it, I'm done with that. But now let's take a look and see what I can do to compose something. So here's the big issue with what the paper, the student who needs the paper, who is cramming, and they need to write a 1-page, 2-page, 3-page paper. Well, here you can compose something. It says write about, and then you can compose something. So write about, I could say, tell me about elephants. Okay. And here, the tone that I want the paper to be in is a professional tone. Am I going to submit it to, impress, or maybe a casual way of writing it, or funny way, or informational? I'm just going to leave it on professional. And here, the format is going to be in a paragraph format. And then I'm going to say generate draft. And here we go. It's going to go ahead and generate. Here I have selected medium length. Wow. So here it's telling me everything about elephants. Telling me everything about elephants. Now I can stop, or I can copy this content and put it in a Word document, and that will get me started. Okay, I don't have to think about it. I could go long. I say generate something long, because I need it to be 3 pages instead of 2 pages. Maybe I want it to be double spaced. Yeah. So for this feature that Bing has, I am like, wow. It's a reason to go back and take a look at the Microsoft web browser again. And I'm saying using Microsoft Edge. So as you can see, it's just generating that paper right along. Okay, so you can copy it and get it started in a paper. Yeah, I just think that it is it's just a great upgrade. Great upgrade to what they're doing, Microsoft. And I think that it can be something that I would want to use on a daily basis. Now, of course, you have to fact check things, or if it doesn't sound right, if it says, oh, an elephant has horns in its tail, no, you don't want that. You want to do make sure it's correct, but just looks good. Anyway, I think we're doing pretty good when it comes to checking out this new technology on OpenAI, and we're hanging out and we're doing some pretty good research and investigation on some things. Do your own research too. Think about what it is that's interest that you have, and make sure that you have a voice to say something. If you want to jump in and share something that you've studied, feel free to do that. Feel free to do that, and we'll come back to it and maybe do a Bing research on it to see what we come up with. Anyway, take care, and I always say, if the Lord says the same, we'll see you next time. Justice now.